What happens if for some ungodly reason you decide to touch a hot stove? Do you feel the searing pain and yank your hand back? Feel the nerve endings in your skin, fire signals up your spine into your brain where they are interpreted as pain, and then you pull back? Or the third, which is feel nothing. If it's the third, we will get to that one. But most people pick either one or two. And what's fascinating is that they sound different, but they're describing the same thing, just from two completely different angles. The first is from inside the experience, yeah? It hurts and you react, you feel it. The second, that's the mechanical play by play, the readout from a doctor's clipboard, the signals, the circuit, the biological story under the skin. So, what is pain? Is it the first or the second? What is a feeling, a sensation, an emotion? What philosophers called qualia, the raw, subjective texture of being alive. This overlap between experience and mechanism is where things get weird, and it drops us right into the middle of one of philosophy's deepest minefields, the discussion of physicalism versus idealism. Or to put it less academically, is your mind just your brain, or is there something else, something more? Let's picture it like this. On one cliff, you've got science, the nerves, the neurons, the synapses, the chemicals, electrical patterns lighting up grey matter. That's biology, that's mechanical. On the opposite cliff, you've got experience, the actual feeling of the hot stove, the scream, the flinch, the panic. Not the reaction, the consciousness of it. That vivid inner movie only you can watch. And between them is a bridge. This bridge is what we assume connects the physical to the mental, that turns firing neurons into pain, chemical floods into grief, hormones into love. It's the magical leap from signals to subjectivity, from data to being. And what if that bridge isn't real? What if that bridge is snapped off? What if everything you do, the scream, the recoil, the laughter, can happen without anything crossing that? What if there is just nothing on the other side? That idea, that possibility, that all outward signs of consciousness could exist without actual experience behind them, isn't just science fiction. It isn't just Frankenstein. It's called the philosophical zombie. A being just like us in every way. Same biology, same behavior, same flinch, same smile, but without anything inside. No experience, no awareness, no ouch. A perfect performance. The lights are on, the gestures are flawless, but no one's home. And if you picked the third option, the one where you felt nothing, well, you might just be one. What exactly does it mean to be conscious? What makes us human? If our minds are nothing but electrical patterns, what separates that from the workings of a machine? More than that, is consciousness tied to our physical form? If yes, then what are we talking about when we say the soul? Does that even exist? Because a computer can respond to an input, a robot can simulate a smile. So what exactly makes your smile real? How does anything we do not just be another mechanic of a biological machine? Because here's the thing, if you accept the possibility of a philosophical zombie, a being that's physically identical to you, down to every molecule, but utterly devoid of experience, then you're also accepting that your consciousness is something extra. Physicalism is the belief that everything is ultimately physical, that consciousness is the direct result of matter in motion, that, as I said before, there is no mind without a brain, no pain without synapse, and all this to only convey that consciousness isn't something physical, at least not only that. And that's the core of the zombie argument. Because if awareness is nothing more than physical processes in the brain, then a zombie without experience should be impossible. But it's not, at least logically, it's conceivable. So either our logic is broken or our assumptions about who we are. And that's where physicalism starts to wobble. Because it can explain how a system processes input and gives output. It can map brain activity. It can tell you what regions light up when you feel pain. But what it cannot do is explain why that activity feels like anything at all. Why it hurts, why you feel warmth, why red looks the way red looks to you. This is what is known as the hard problem of consciousness. The problem of explaining the relationship between physical phenomena, such as brain processes, and experience. In baby terms, it's basically this. Are the feelings we feel actually just electrical signals zipping around, or something more? They say that even after death, the body continues to function for a brief period. It might not work with the purpose of maintaining life, but several chemical and biological processes continue to occur over hours and even days. These range from the contraction and relaxation of muscles to the slow breakdown and decomposition of the body itself. These can be argued to be as much a process as the ones I mentioned above. And yet, no sane person would describe a rotting corpse as conscious. Because consciousness is simply not about being dead or alive. It's more about being aware. So how does a philosophical zombie fit here? Because while consciousness is awareness, we still don't know what sort of awareness that is. Is consciousness smelling food and hence knowing about its purpose? Or is it smelling food and forming opinions about it? Where do we draw the line? A fly smells food and flies towards it. Is that conscious behavior? A dog smells food and drools. Closer. I smell food. It reminds me of something from my childhood and makes me sad. That's consciousness. Or is it? Because these are not clear boundaries. They are a gradient, a blur, and we have no idea where on that blur awareness begins and when it becomes self-awareness, emotional awareness, or qualia. And honestly, consciousness is just such an indistinct concept. If awareness is the benchmark and a cat meowing for food counts as being aware, then what does that make a robot that does the same thing? A machine that sees, responds, learns, even mimics. Is that being aware? Or is it just another kind of twitch? This concept, this entire notion of being led not by preference, not by agency, but solely by machinations, it's not meant to terrify or traumatize. Not just that. The P-zombie is an argument against the concept of physicalism, against the concept of the body and the brain being all there is. It, I think, is meant to teach us that we are more than the sum of our parts, so much more than just flesh and meat. At least that's what we can hope for. Because if we are not, if there is no ghost in the machine, no spark beneath the wires, then we are left with a much colder truth. That everything we call love, grief, joy, or self might just be noise, might just be software bugs. That all those things are nothing but evolution and electricity. That the universe is indifferent, that there is no deeper meaning, no higher purpose, no spiritual significance or transcendence beyond the world we see. That we are nothing but a clockwork mechanism, ticking, just a bag of flesh squeezed around a complicated jumble of gears, just a program running. Because that's the horror the philosophical zombie exposes. It looks just like us, it laughs, it screams, it says I love you. It cries when hurt, and yet there is nothing there. No witness, no soul, no spark of subjectivity, just behavior, pre programmed, just process, predefined, just the illusion of personhood. And if that probability exists, if a being can be perfectly human on the outside but empty within, then how can we ever be sure if anyone else is so, or even that we are? If this video gave you something to think about, please consider subscribing. Thank you so much for watching.